at the moment. Davis Oye, do you mind help Infinix to change his name? I cannot do it because I'm not hosting.
Okay, I'm trying to do it now. I'm trying to make you the co-host.
Okay.
Davis, how are you?
I'm fine, Daddy.
Yeah, I tried to make my son there co-host.
Yes, I am.
Oh. Uncle, maybe in another 1 minute you can get started. Some people are struggling to to join. They are asking for password. It has been on the chat since over 24 hours.
The password is so simple, farm.
That is it. Okay, Uncle, we are ready, sir. Over to you.
Okay. Good. You are welcome, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
We pray that some people will join us soon. Last week, we were able to deal with some plants which we think we should be planting in this coming season, this coming rainy season. I think we did quite some good job with crops that will grow within 3 to 4 months. And then later we dealt with some permanent crops, some trees. Did we start dealing with the trees that must be around our compound and on our farm? At least one plant per something like orange, mangoes. Did we do that? Or was it in the French class that I did that? Hello? Hello?
Talked more about moringa. Hello, sir. This is Shade talking. I'm on the same call with Dr. Martins.
Okay.
Yes, you began to list them as some of the trees that can be grown around the farm. You
Yes.
talked about orange and guava and pawpaw, but you talked more
Extensively.
extensively about moringa. That's the
Yeah,
only
correct.
one you treated.
All right. Okay, let me go over that list and deal in depth with how important each one is for the compound or the farm or the backyard. Because it is when people know the usefulness of a plant that they will be motivated to plant it. And I want these plants to be at least one each. Let's speak about mango. The mango tree has beautiful sweet fruits. The juice is very good energy for the body. It's not only energy providing, it is medicinal. And if it is not eaten in abundance, but eaten moderately, it does not cause diabetes. Any natural thing, any natural fruit, if eaten in a moderate way, no matter how sweet, does not cause diabetes, because there are some plant hormones and enzymes that make it not to accumulate in the bloodstream, but is used up very quickly for energy. So it's a very good source of energy when it is ripe. We have many good varieties of mangoes in the tropics, and we need to make use of it. One of the most important parts of the mango tree is the leaf, particularly the tender leaf at the tips of the branches, the tender brown leaves at the tips of the branches. Those are the ones that can be used. The tough green ones should not be used. So the tender ones at the tips are very good as medicine. These are some of the things the leaves can do. They can control blood pressure. They can control the level of sugar in the blood. That means they are good for diabetes. They are rich in minerals and vitamins. So they are good for the immune system. They also reduce inflammation. They are anti-inflammatory. When combined when combined with the leaves of guava, when those tender leaves are combined with the leaves of guava, they help with any forms of infection, particularly in the genital organs, in the reproductive organs, both in men and female. Which means they can deal with some of the things that cause infertility in both men and women. Sometimes some bacteria cause infertility in men and women. And when we use the combination of those two leaves, mango and guava, some disorders can be treated that will enhance fertility, pregnancy, and childbirth. Yes?
Uncle, 1 minute, please.
Yeah.
So many people are on WhatsApp. Now, the main lesson is going on Zoom. Sierra Leone, can you join Zoom? Isaac, can you join Zoom? Chidi, we're on Zoom.
Don't they
And the
have Zoom?
others. If you can join Zoom, fine. Otherwise, I will keep my phone open so you can listen to my phone. But if it's not very clear for you, please go and join Zoom. Thank you. If you have difficulty with the details are there on the chat group. Thank you. Uncle, go on, sir.
All right. So as I was saying, if you combine the tender mango leaves with guava leaves as medicine, they are good for fertility in both men and women. In fact, when fallopian tubes are blocked because of bacteria, using those leaves as tea would clear away those bacteria. The fallopian tube will open and pregnancy will be possible. In men, if there's a low sperm count and you use the leaves of the tender leaves of mango and the leaves of guava, the environment is made in such a way that the bacteria that prevent the multiplication of sperms die, and then sperm count increases, sperm vigor increases. Now, that's a very simple, cheap way of healing the body and making sure that families that are, needing to have children, have their children. Now, the seed in the fruit has a white substance, which is the cotyledon, inside it. If you crack the hard shell and process the cotyledons, the white cotyledons inside the shell, you process them into powder. You can use the powder as tea to heal hemorrhoids, that is piles, even very complicated hemorrhoids can be shrunk by drinking the tea of the cotyledons of that mango seed. It's a very strong astringent. We call it astringent. It shrinks some tissues. So you see, the mango tree is a very useful tree. Goats and sheep like to eat the leaves. But one should be careful if we are keeping goats and sheep on the farm that they don't overeat. They don't overeat the mature leaves. If they overeat the mature leaves, it can affect them negatively. So when we cut the branches and so on, or we prune the tree, we should keep most of it away from the goats and the sheep. We can spread those leaves and branches in the farm to cover the soil of the farm. We are going to do something about that later on today. We need to learn to preserve our soil. Okay. Let's deal with guava. If you have planted one guava tree, I've already spoken about the leaf of guava. Let's speak about the fruit. The guava fruit is very rich in vitamins, particularly vitamin C, and a little portion of vitamin A. Because of its richness in vitamin C, it is good for people who are recovering from illnesses. It accelerates healing, recovery. The fruit contains a lot of antioxidants. Both the fruit of mango and the fruit of guava will help easy movement of the bowel. We have learned already that constipation, chronic constipation, is the cause of over 80% of chronic diseases, terminal diseases. So if there's anything that helps the bowels to move freely, that is a plus in our health. And the fruits of guava, the fruits of mango, eating in moderation will keep the bowels healthy. Again, guava fruit boosts the immune system because of the many minerals and vitamins present in it. The leaves are antibiotic. Let's go to avocado. You have one plant of avocado at the backyard. Every part of the avocado tree is very useful. The pulp of the fruit, which is the major product, is rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids. And many minerals and vitamins. Rich in antioxidants. So the fruit is anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-tumor. The oil in the fruit is good for skin health, and for healthy growth of hair. So actually that fruit can be termed a beauty fruit. And women should eat a lot of it. But don't overeat. Oh. The leaves of mango, sorry, the leaves of avocado pear regulate blood pressure. It's one of the best herbs to use for the regulation of blood pressure. And high blood pressure is becoming so pandemic all over the world because of bad eating habits and because of stress. The same leaves are hypoglycemic. That means they will lower blood sugar. They will regulate blood sugar. So the tea of the leaves is good for diabetics. Again, the leaves are antibiotic. And anti-cancer. tea from the seed, there's one seed per fruit. Tea from the seed aid fertility, particularly fertility in women. Generally, the tea from the seed help with the reproductive organs, the health of the reproductive organs. Coconut tree. Just one coconut tree on the compound is a storehouse of material for health. Both the juice and the flesh of the fruit are very, very useful for general body health. The coconut water is rich in sugars, healthy sugars, minerals, and vitamins. Now, the composition of that water is like the serum of the blood. The composition of the water in the coconut is almost exactly like the serum of the human blood. Now, the serum of the human blood is the blood minus the corpuscles. If you take the corpuscles out of the blood, the liquid that is left is almost the same composition with the coconut water, which means when people are dehydrated or have lost a lot of blood, infusion with coconut water or drinking coconut water is a way of replenishing the blood. The flesh of the coconut plus the water plus the coconut oil, which is extracted from the flesh, all of them are anti-tumor and anti-cancer. Another big area of health where coconut products are very useful is the area of the nervous system and the brain. In fact, we can term the parts of the coconut as containing nervines. Enzymes are phytochemicals that both repair and grow the nervous system. Disorders in the nervous system can be healed by applying the products of the coconut. In fact, drinking a tablespoon of coconut oil daily is a way of preventing many chronic diseases. I am only introducing you to these properties for you to do your own research and find details. What I'm trying to do is to let you know how important these tropical plants are for preventive and curative medicine right at home. You see, you are in control of your own health when you know these things and you eat the right type of things at the right time. And fortunately, God has made it that these plants grow and fructify at different times of the year. All of them don't fructify at the same time. So if you live in consonance with how these plants grow and fructify, you are going to be very healthy throughout the year. When oranges ripen, eat oranges. When mangoes ripen at different times, eat mangoes. When it is time for something like avocado pear, eat avocado pear. Just go along with the season because we are part of the cycle of nature. When you eat the things that grow in your local area, you are practicing what I call eco-medicine. That means your medical practice is according to your environment, ecological environment. That's how God has made it. When the Irishman is eating Irish potato, you eat sweet potato in Ghana or Nigeria or Gambia. When the American is eating wheat, you eat corn or eat guinea corn. That's what God made for you as cereal. All right. Now, coconut oil is also good for skin health. Many skin diseases will be eradicated by applying coconut oil on the body. We have already spoken a lot about moringa, but I want to emphasize it again that eating moringa leaves in different forms or different ways is extremely important for our health in the tropics. It is our miracle tree. The small plant called pawpaw, avocado, Oh, I'm sorry. Papaya, pawpaw. Although it's a small tree, it is extremely beneficial to our health. And I encourage local farmers to plant 2 or 3 trees at a time. The fruit is extremely rich for body health. Apart from supplying energy when ripe, it's a wonderful laxative. It contains a plant enzyme called papain. Papain is a proteolytic enzyme that is very important for healing chronic diseases. So you find pawpaw being useful in cancers, being useful in diabetes, being useful in many autoimmune diseases, diseases that compromise the immune system. The seeds of pawpaw are very good for eliminating worms, all types of worms, including tapeworms. The unripe fruit is the part that is very rich in that papain, and part of it can be used in meat tenderizing when meat is very tough, and you add the peelings of pawpaw, green pawpaw, to the cooking. You are going to find the meat become very, very tender and palatable. For the same reason, the green pawpaw can be made into poultice for things like boils and so on to mature quickly. When you slice the back, the covering of the green pawpaw, you see a milky juice that comes out. That is the part that contains the papain. Now, pawpaw leaves are extremely versatile for healing so many diseases, including cancers, diabetes, blood pressure, constipation, malaria, liver and kidney problems, do more research about it, you'll find so many other uses. Incidentally, one of the 4 small books I've written on herbs is purely on fruits. And you can get that if you order it from my address in Oshobo. You can get that. Just use the phone number. The Oshobo phone number is plus 234 806 533 1226 plus 234 806 533 1226. If you phone that number, you can get any information about the book. 20 tropical fruit trees. 20 tropical fruit trees with all their properties. I don't know whether I mentioned last week that some people in some of our villages already practice what I'm teaching now about fruit trees around the house. And that in Plateau State, you have the Tiv people, Tiv. Almost everybody has a garden behind the house. And some of these trees I'm mentioning are there. They eat from the trees round the year. Tangerines, grapefruits, oranges, coconut, plantain, that's banana, plantain, very useful things. Avocado. And then the surplus, because these trees fructify very, the surplus, they sell by the roadside. And the rich people from the cities, when driving through, are able to buy some. At least that is good for their health in the city. Instead of eating only bread and bread and bread and Coke and Sprite, that is killing them. Do you
Please
know that
forgive me
even
for interrupting, Brother Mike. Please forgive me for interrupting. Can you adjust your camera? We can't see your mouth. Better.
am I okay now?
Not quite. A bit more. Or is it only me?
It's okay. Uncle, they want to see your full face.
Well, I don't know how to enlarge it.
It's not enlarging. Maybe if you move back a little bit from the camera.
Are you sure?
Yes, that's better. But yeah, but
Okay.
we are still. When you put your head down with that, we only see up to your nose.
All right. I think that is enough introduction to the fruit trees around the house. I want to go to the management of the soil in which plants grow. There is a very simple method of making sure that the soil regenerates itself and keeps on improving in fertility and other soil conditions without any use of artificial fertilizer. That has been one of the main reasons why this CAMP-AGGAMMAL formula has been set up. But there's a little more detail that we need to know, which the small farmers should practice. It is important that in the tropics particularly, the soil is not tampered with very much. We don't need to use the plow to turn over the soil the way it is done in Europe and America or in the cold countries. If we do, we denature the soil, and most of the nutrients, particularly nitrogen, is destroyed, and the soil becomes infertile very quickly. It also becomes compacted and not well aerated for plant growth. So there is a method called zero tilling. Zero tilling. In zero tilling, you don't disturb the soil while planting. The only place you disturb is exactly where you are going to put your seed. So the normal cultural practice of making local heaps or narrow elevated beds in the farm is the practice that must be done. In fact, even in some cases, you don't need to make a heap at all. You only need to make a line on the ground, a shallow line into which you put your seed and cover the seed up, which means most of the land between one row and another is covered naturally by growing weeds or covered with mulch or covered by cover crops. The principle is that the land should not be disturbed. It should be as natural as possible so that soil organisms that work the soil may be able to do their work and turn the soil into fragile particles that are useful for crops. There are some fungi collectively called mycorrhiza. God put the mycorrhiza in the soil to do a lot of biochemistry there that turns the soil into what is very good for plant growth. Where you find a lot of mycorrhiza working, they also work hand in hand with earthworms. You will find that the surface of the soil is rough and has got some, how will I call them? some holes in the soil. The worms actually eat the soil and then pass the soil out as crumbs. Those crumbs are very, very good for plant growth. And our crops should have those crumbs. So I'm going to talk about how to maintain a continuous covering for the soil that we are going to use for farming. Remember that we talked about alley cropping, where you have nitrogen fixing plants in rows to supply a lot of nitrogen from the air into the soil as nitrates and nitrites. Remember also that we mentioned that one of the plants best for this is Gliricidia septum, and that this one grows very fast and is evergreen. Let's say we have already planted Gliricidia in rows, and that the land between the two rows are the places we are going to use for raising our crops. That place should not become bare for planting. We should allow natural plants that are growing there to grow, and then we put our seeds in there without plowing. When the seeds germinate and they grow, what was there before will be like a mulch covering the soil and preventing direct sunlight from reaching the soil. We don't want the direct sunlight to reach the soil because in the tropics, the sunlight can become very hot. And when that happens, a lot of nutrients are lost from the soil. So the principle is to keep the soil moist, undisturbed, and to create an environment that will allow earthworms and the mycorrhiza, those fungi, to do their work properly to support crop life. We also discussed that there are some plants like mucuna, like pueraria, like centrosema, that are leguminous plants, but are also creepers. They will fix nitrogen and they will be cover crops. So such cover crops are allowed to grow. And it is in the midst of them that our real crops will grow. So the imagination is to have something like a carpet covering the land. Under that carpet, a lot of biochemical activities are going on, brought about by the mycorrhiza, earthworms, and some useful bacteria that God has already placed there. There are many advantages for this. Number one, minerals needed by the plant are being constantly produced. Number two, precipitation from rainfall is handled in a most economical way. That means water is managed. In some tropical countries, the rainfall is very short, particularly in the Sahel, in desert places. The rainfall may not be even up to 10 inches in the year. Now, this rainfall should be well managed. So it is not the amount of rainfall that matters. It is how the rainfall is preserved that matters. And what I'm describing now is very important for that. For food security, we must preserve as much of the water that falls as possible, particularly where there's no room for irrigation. Rainfall must be well preserved. And making the soil surface to be covered most of the time of the year is the principle to preserve the rainfall. Thirdly, that rain is very, very necessary for the microbes and the mycorrhiza to work effectively in the soil. If the soil is totally dry, those organisms cannot thrive. All right. Another advantage for covering that soil is that the parts of the plants that are covering the soil will from time to time drop to the soil, the leaves, some of the parts of the stems, the fruits, and so on, flowers. All those are going to be worked upon by worms, mycorrhiza, bacteria, and everything will be turned back into the soil. The roots of the cover crops dig deep into the soil to bring minerals to the surface that will form their leaves, their flowers, their fruits. And when they drop back to the soil, what was down and has been brought up becomes part of the surface soil. So you have good humus being formed on the surface of the soil. Another advantage is that such covered land is not easily eroded. Erosion is not high over a land that is covered with cover crops. If this is preserved from year to year, the soil is going to improve itself continually, incrementally, and there will be no need for artificial fertilizer ever. Another thing is that productivity continues to grow in spite of the land being used every year. Combined with what I have said is the fact that one portion of the farm should be left fallow without planting anything at all. And that this fallowing should be rotated from one plot to another. However small the land is, not all the land should be used at once. A little portion should be left fallow without doing anything there at all. That allows God to completely replenish that land in the year. The following year, you plant something there. But one of the plots where you planted something last year, you leave alone. So we rotate it like that. By doing so, you maintain the fertility of your own small land perpetually. Now, this is a rule. In fact, it's in the Bible. In the Bible, you have to allow the land to rest for 1 year in 7 years without doing anything on that land at all, so that it may replenish itself. Continuous exploitation is what has ruined our lands. And we need to do simple things to bring it back to normalcy. I'm going to pause a bit because what I've said may be a bit technical and some people may not understand it, although I've used a very simple language to explain it. If there's a question upon this covering of the land, please ask. If you are confused about something, let me clarify it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
In the light of what you have shared, to what extent, therefore, is the tractor mechanized farming profitable?
We don't need it at all. We don't need it. I mean, for the small-scale farmer, I'm not talking of large-scale farmers. Large-scale farmers
yes, sir,
have come to destroy us. Look, if every small farmer were to produce what was needed, there will be enough for the family and then surplus to sell to those in the city. But we have displaced our farmers. Our farmers are no more farming. And that is one of the major causes of scarcity of food and famine in our land. Large-scale farmers will plow. In fact, generally they plow deep. And they will expose the whole soil. A lot of nitrogen is lost. And therefore, they have to add artificial fertilizer. By applying artificial fertilizer, the land becomes even poorer still after it has been used. Aeration is very poor. Water absorption is very poor. Erosion is the rule when there's heavy rain. And then whatever crop you plant as a monocrop, which large-scale farmer does, monocropping. You plant only maize or you plant only cassava. That increases pests. When there's an insect that loves cassava and you plant only cassava, the insects come, there's a lot of food for them to eat. And when they are eating a lot of food, they multiply, geometrically. And when that happens, you have pests. Then you have to go and buy chemicals and come and control the pests. The food you produce is not healthy. Am I answering your question?
Yes, sir. Therefore, in the light of tractor, those who have tractors, what should they use them for?
Well, I don't have a tractor. I don't need it.
Okay. Can the tractor be used to do the narrow region?
Oh yes.
Okay.
You can use, but you see, the very heavy tractors are not necessary. There are small tractors. You can do narrow region. But you see, the land between the narrow ridges themselves should be covered. That's what I mean.
Okay. Okay.
I hope you get it.
Yes, sir.
In fact, the alley cropping, like the glycida, can be planted in the ridge together with the crop. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
You plant one the seeder, the next plant will be your crop. Eh?
Yes, sir.
Then the next one will be the seeder, okay? And the next one again will be your crop. You can alternate like that, or you can plant only the seeder on a whole row, and then plant your crop on different rows in between the green seeders.
Okay.
So there are two ways of doing it. But generally, the rest of the land must be covered. This covering can be easily done in many ways. For example, where there's a lot of planting of bananas and plantain, the big leaves of banana and plantain can be used as mulch to cover the land. Now that is done, I've seen it done in Cameroon. I have seen it done in Rwanda. Okay?
Yes.
They just use those big leaves to cover the soil. And wonderfully, when the rains come and those leaves get rotten, potassium and other things are returned to the soil. So it's a recycling.
Thank you, sir.
That type of covering prevents weeds from growing. Some of us know Kajanus Kajan. Kajanus Kajan, that is, what's the name again?
Umbrella. Show me umbrella.
No. Kajanus Kajan. It's one of these peas.
It's pigeon pea.
Pigeon. So thank you very much. Pigeon pea.
Pigeon pea.
Now, you can grow pigeon pea. It grows only to about, say, 4 feet. You can grow pigeon pea in between the rows. It will prevent weeds from growing, and at the same time, you can harvest it as your crop because it's a very rich type of beans for the family. So it's a cover crop. You can grow your crotalaria as a cover crop. You can grow your beans, the beans you eat normally, cowpea, as cover crop. Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
You can grow soya beans as cover crop.
What about groundnut?
Yes, very much so. They will just grow close to one another and they cover the soil very well. When you harvest it, the husks and so on, you put back on the ground there. Everything will get rotten into the soil. If you like, take part of it for your sheep or your goats and so on, but not all. So anything natural which can be used in covering the soil should be used. Any other question on that issue?
Those of you on WhatsApp, any question?
Okay, if there are no questions, let me continue with it.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, Brian.
You said something about not removing the weeds
Yes,
before
you see,
planting.
yeah, when you put things like the leaves of banana and plantain and so on horizontally on the soil, and there are some young growing weeds under those leaves smolder those weeds under them because those weeds will not receive any sunlight, so they die.
Okay.
Am I answering you?
Thank you.
You find it difficult that you think the weeds will outgrow the mulch.
Yes. As you say, this is not for large scale farming.
No, it's for small farmers.
Yes, I get it.
I am strictly dealing with small farmers who cannot have enough food during the year. I am finding a way of they are making use of the small land they have and yet producing enough food for themselves and having surplus to sell. Even the large-scale farmer, if he wants to practice it, can practice it because he can get what we call mulch easily. It doesn't need to be the leaves of plantain and all those things. Mulch is easy to get. If you go to a place like a sawmill, you can get a lot of mulch. Or you go to places where, they process timber, wood. There's a lot of mulch heaped there. And those people want the thing to be removed. So it's cheap. You don't even need to buy it. They are happy that you are coming to collect it. Or shavings in a carpentry shop, whatever. You spread these things on the farm, and you see the land needs a lot of carbon. Carbon enriches the soil. In fact, our whole bodies and the bodies of plants themselves are made mainly of carbon. So when the carbon degenerates, it goes into the soil to enrich the soil, to make it more porous, and we are benefiting from it. So even a large-scale farmer can organize and get good mulch for the land. One of the articles I have sent out describes these things I'm referring to. Martins. Martins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please make sure that all our participants get those articles.
Yes, I sent it to everybody on the WhatsApp group. I've sent it out.
Yeah, there may be some people who are still not on the platform.
Okay, one announcement, please. If you're not on the WhatsApp group, can you, on the chat group, send me your number, and then I'll fill it in. Thank you. Uncle, there is one question.
All right.
What are the local names for the nitrogen fixing plant? This person is a new person.
I think I have sent something out earlier that described. That's the beginning of the whole course. So
the answer is in the chat group. When you go to the chat group, you see all those
yeah, the names are there. Yeah.
Documents there. Open them, you see the names. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Let me round up this. Hello, Joshua.
Hello. Yes, sir. Thank you for what you have said so far. A problem I am thinking could need a solution is when you don't loosen the soil, but you just make a line and put your seeds inside, such as potato or whatever.
No.
I'm wondering.
No, I said it earlier that you can make narrow heaps. I said so.
Okay.
Yeah, you can make narrow heaps and put your cassava cutting, potato, everything there. But even when you have done that, the spaces in between two plants should be covered. Do you get me?
Okay.
That's
yes,
even on top of the heap.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And then it's good that you asked that question because, but in planting things like corn, you don't even need to make a heap. You just use your cutlass to make a hole.
Yeah, that's what Ghanaians do.
Yeah, now that is the correct way to do it. Because
I see.
In planting maize or guinea corn or millet, if you make a heap, when there's a high wind, most of the crops will fall down. But if you make a hole, the fibrous root system, which is usually on the surface, will dig deep into the soil and will be very firm.
Okay,
So
sir.
when the winds come, they are not able to dislodge the roots.
Okay, sir, I get
In fact,
it.
I have made a farm before where cassava cuttings were put directly into the soil without making heaps, and the yield was tremendous. The roots found their way into the soil because the soil was well aerated, and the yield was very bountiful. When you make heaps for some things, they don't grow well. But for a thing like yam, you have to make a heap.
Okay, sir.
The local people know there's different ways to plant their crops. They do.
Uncle, another question.
Yes.
How can I use zero tillage for yam planting?
I have just mentioned it. I said for yam, you have to make a heap. Hello?
Yes, sir.
You have to make a heap for yam. But when you have finished making a heap for yam, and you have planted it at the center of it, the land that makes the heap itself should be covered. Did you hear?
Yes, sir. I'm reading it from the chat group. Is your question answered? Chat group, please. Or chat box.
Okay. The side of the heap should be covered with some mulch. You don't want to lose things from the side. Again, this is on a small scale farm. A small scale farmer may have only about 20 to 30 heaps for yam. Or let's say even 100. That's still small scale. Can I go on?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Now, Apostle, I have a question to ask.
Yes.
Go on, Agnes.
Yes, Papa, thank you so much for this great knowledge you're giving us. I mean, from Uganda, this is a very new practice. Asking, like, assuming I'm planting corn, maize, and from here, not weeding is seen like it's laziness. So now, if I plant my corn, must I weed it or not? Or I just weed around the corn plant and leave the middle part?
You see, if you are planting in the first place, the land should have been weeded, and the branches and the leaves of the weeds will lie flat
Yes.
on the land.
Yes.
The sun will make it dry. Okay?
Yes, please.
When the sun has made it dry, one thing you can do is to set fire to that piece of land so that all the dry organic material will burn into ashes.
Yes.
Leave the ash there. The ash is part of your fertilizer.
Okay.
Now, on that bare land with the ash, you are going to put mulch. And it is the mulch I have been speaking about by growing a cover crop like beans, like pigeon pea, but that is not your main crop. If your main crop is maize, you make a line where you will plant your maize.
Yes.
Are you getting it?
Yes, please, Papa.
Now, you find something to grow in between the rows of your maize. That thing growing will prevent weeds from growing because they are cover crops.
Okay.
But you can harvest the cover crops themselves, like pigeon pea, like beans, like soya beans.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've got it.
So
Thank
what
you
you
so
are
much.
doing is you are creating what we call agroforest. Agroforest. We have a study called agroforestry. You are making many different plants to grow together. And one of the advantages is that when you do that, you prevent pests from growing. When you have different types of plants growing together, insects and so on cannot disturb all of them at once. They will eat a bit of this, eat a bit of that, and so on. But if you grow only one thing on a plant, and some insects come there, they will feed and become many, many, many more.
Thank you.
Have I answered you, Agnes?
Yes, please, Papa. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
God bless you.
God bless you too, Papa.
Yes, I was going to mention the use of farm animals. You remember that we started by saying mixed farming is preferable for the small-scale farmer. He must have one or two animals that are edible also growing on the small farm or on the compound. They may be chicken, they may be goats, they may be rabbits, they may be turkeys. Where crops have just been harvested, those animals can be allowed to feed. Whilst they are feeding, their droppings will add to the fertility of the land. On the other hand, they can be kept in a particular place where they can roam about, and then their droppings can be recycled into the farm. Thirdly, one can organize to make a manure or compost. We will not deal with that today. We will deal with how to make manure and how to make compost next time. Such compost and manure can then be spread onto the small plots as they mature. That is recycling things from the animals into the farm. Now, the animals themselves have been fed from the farm, so you don't lose anything. The byproducts of your harvest become food for your animals. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
From what I have said, let me give you a certain picture. Supposing you have planted corn in rows, and in between the corns in rows, you have also planted glycidia to supply nitrogen to the soil. Now, between two rows of corn and glycidia, you can plant tomatoes, pepper, eggplant, Are we getting it? Sweet potato. I hope you know that sweet potato grows very fast. You can harvest it in 3 months.
Sweet potato.
And it's very rich. I think we have already even described how rich it is and how medicinal it is we have. You see, you are creating a semi-small forest. It may not look very beautiful because it's not monocropping. But you get into your farm, small farm, and it's like a small forest where you can harvest different type of things as they get ripened. And those different type of things are the things going to form a rainbow of food on your table. So you are not feeding on just one thing. You plant along that with some greens, like amaranthus. You plant some beans. A few insects will be in the farm, not many at all, because when you plant like that, you have created a forest.
No.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
I have a question, sir. You mentioned before you leave off from talking about sweet potato.
All right.
From a recent research I've been undergoing, I found out the advantages of the orange-fleshed sweet potato.
Okay.
So, like, that's common in some regions in Nigeria.
Different from white.
And others have the white fleshed sweet potato.
And even the pink one.
Yes, and the pink one. So I read a lot about the advantages of the orange fleshed sweet potato. So should we endeavor to get that and at all times, or we should just go with the white one we have in our own region?
The white one has its own wonderful advantages.
Okay.
The yellow one, orange one has its own wonderful advantages. The
Okay,
pink one has its own wonderful advantages. Any one of them you can plant. I know one thing. All of them are anti-cancer.
Okay.
And all of them contain a lot of vitamin C.
All right.
And some vitamin A, carotene.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
One question, sir.
Yes.
So permit me to read it out. This question is from Gambia.
All right.
Kindly help me understand mixed cropping and agroforestry. Which method works best in a tropical climate?
Thank you. Agroforestry is what I have been trying to describe in the last few minutes. But agroforestry is a type of mixed cropping. Once you are able to plant two different crops together, you have mixed cropping.
Mm.
Now, in agroforestry, you plant, if possible, about 10 different crops together. Am I making it clear?
Mm-hmm.
For example, as I was saying, you plant corn, glycidia, sweet potato, cassava, pepper, tomatoes, groundnuts. But you see, you plant them in an orderly way, but all of them are together, growing together. Some are surface feeders, others are mid feeders, and yet others are deep feeders. So you are making use of different layers of the soil effectively. Some are shady plants, others like to be under shade. Some like a lot of sunlight. You have to study all that and know what you are doing. So that is agroforestry. You are creating your own forest. A forest is a place where different types of crops or trees grow together to form an ecological setup. So the last one I've described is agroforestry. But if we have two crops or three at most growing together, that is mixed cropping. Then mixed cropping is different from mixed farming. Mixed farming consists of mixed cropping and animal farming together. Am I clear? Hello, Gambia. It's no more there.
Thank you, sir.
If there are no questions, this is where I'm going to end today. Next
Yes,
week,
sir.
we are
No
going
more
to
questions, sir.
Hello.
No more question, Uncle.
All right. try to think through this important aspect of getting the land covered naturally, and then planting many different types of crops needed by the home together on the same piece of land. Think about the narrow or the zero tilling method. Then think about planting at least one tree of different types of fruit trees around the home.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Further information, please check the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group is just for agricultural lessons that we are hearing here. You can put your
not
questions.
for any other thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can put your questions there. Uncle will respond to them. Please, it's not for any other thing to be posted. This is just only for this Agric lesson. Thank you so much.
I will also be putting some articles there from time to time.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. See you next week.
God bless.
Amen.
Yeah, Apostle Martin, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, Apostle Brightman from Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, welcome. You people should have very big farm this year, massive one, bigger than the one of last year.
By the grace of God.
No more hunger, no more
we
hunger
are working on
at
it.
all, no more hunger.
Yeah, we have learned a lot.
Amen. Amen. When we have plenty food, our problems will be very, very much reduced.
Exactly so, exactly so.
Right, Emmanuel. Brian Manuel, let hip hop. He has gone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir. Uncle
Joshua.
Mike. Yes, sir.
How's my young sister?
She's fine, sir.
Give my love to her.
Okay. Thank you for this program.
How are the children?
They are all fine, sir.
Wow.
But Davis, can you switch off the recording? I'm still not a co-host, so I cannot do all of that. So the floor is open. Those who want to say hello to Uncle Mike, please go ahead. we will stop the recording now.
Yeah.
Please, Davis, help me stop the recording. Thank you.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello.
This is Tayo from Akura.
Tayo?
Yes, sir. Thank you for
Uncle.
Thank you for the lesson.
Tayo.
We miss you.
How's my daughter there? How are my grandchildren?
We are fine, Daddy. You promised to come back to Nigeria. We are still waiting.
Okay, don't worry, I'll come.
Thank you, Daddy. Thanks for the lecture.
We thank the Lord.
Thank you so much, sir, for all that you are putting in to encourage us.
Ruth, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. Adúpẹ́, sir. Adúpẹ́, sir.
Ẹ pẹ̀lẹ́.
Olúwa á máa sọ agbára yín dọ̀tun lójoojúmọ́ o. Ẹ pẹ́ fún wa o.
Amen.
Ẹ ṣeun, sir.
Davis.